On today's episode of It's Always Something in Philadelphia, it finally happened. Jason Kelce announced his retirement. We'll try and get into the Phillies signings, and if we have some time, some Sixers and some Flyers talk as well. But it's gonna be a doozy. Jason Kelce, every Eagles fan saw this coming for multiple years now, several years in a row, knowing at one point or another he would have to hang it up. His body would he would make the decision that would respect his body and his family. We just didn't know when because he was still playing at a high level. He was playing at the best he's ever played the past few years. But today, March 4th, he officially announced his retirement in truly the only way I would expect Jason Kelce to announce it. He gave an emotional, beautiful, brilliantly written, passionate 40-minute retirement speech, storytelling session, you know, descriptive hug and handshake to everyone he's ever played with and has been a part of his life to get him into this journey. A truly just welcoming and saddening and inspiring and emotional speech that eventually ended in him announcing his retirement from the game of football. He spent the first really 5 minutes of the speech just holding back tears, fighting through tears. He couldn't even start it. He wanted to start, and he did eventually start by talking about his connection with football and when he got involved, as a kid, and then through middle school and high school, and then college. And he was trying to get started, and you could hear it, you could see it. It was so tough for him to say. He eventually did started talking about his relationship with school, with football in school, in college, his strength coaches. The first time he was told, hey, maybe you should try being the center. I think you'd be a great center, and how it changed his life. Talked about his relationship with his brother as kids and as professionals. He talked about, being in Philly and what it means to be, a Philly fan and a player in Philly. He talked about the Super Bowl, and he called him Nick had the junk to call Philly, and Doug Peterson had the stones to go with it. He talked about all of it, and I've never seen in my lifetime, which is relatively short to this point, but in my lifetime, one single player and his retirement or just the movement around him inspire so much conversation and so much respect and admiration. I mean, Jason Kelce was the number one trending topic on Twitter mostly all day. That's a center. How many offensive linemen, how many centers do you think are trending on Twitter? Number one, because of their retirement. He probably will be the first ever and the last ever to be the number one news story announcing his retirement. And it's not, it's not overstated, even though he ended his speech saying I'm officially overrated. But it's not. It's so well deserved. Just to go quickly over his accolades, just the stuff on paper. 13 seasons as an Eagle, of course, Super Bowl champion, 6-time first team All Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, the most starts in franchise history, consecutive starts. He's played 156 games in a row as an offensive lineman in the most grueling, physical, violent game in sports. He's got the most regular season games played by an offensive lineman in franchise history with 193. And of course, not a technical or statistical accolade, but he has the greatest Super Bowl parade speech of all time, in which he wore the mummer's costume and he gave that impassioned speech about how no one gave us a chance and a hungry dog runs faster and no one likes us. No one likes us. No one likes us. We don't care. And now just today, he gave probably the greatest retirement speech of all time. And it's just, there's not much I can say that hasn't already been said or won't be said in articles, books, documentaries, movies, who knows. Something about Jason Kelce has been transformative. Just when you look at his early career, just the start of it, an undersized center, right? Someone who maybe has all the athletic traits, but not the size to be a National Football League offensive lineman and center, and overcoming that, being, a walk-on at Cincinnati, and then getting his chance with the Eagles and proving his worth and getting better and better. And one really beautiful thing about what he said in his speech, and it's really setting the bar up there for every boyfriend, fiance, husband, partner in the world. Talked about his wife Kylie Kelce, who's a star in her own at this point, and saying, if you look at my career, every single accolade, every time I was playing my best football was after I met her. It was because she made me a better person and therefore a better player, and she made me who I am today. And so just him laying that out there and giving Kylie the credit she deserves for being his life partner and being his better half, as they say, was as romantic and awe-inspiring as it gets. But so he's this walk on, and then he gets drafted. And he's undersized, and he's working and working, and he's a great player early, but he's maybe not getting the notoriety for it. He meets Kylie. He starts to really sharpen his game and sharpen who he is as a person, and then he starts becoming this Hall of Fame center that we've seen today, who's been there for LaShawn McCoy's crazy runs and record-breaking seasons, who's been there for Nick Foles' touchdown record, who's been there for Michael Vick, who's been there for Carson Wentz and Nick Foles winning multiple playoff games and Super Bowls or Super Bowl. He's been there for Jalen Hurts breaking rushing records and tush pushes and rushing touchdown records. He's been there through so many phases, so many different quarterbacks, 4 different head coaches, and he's been consistent and the key really to it all. He's been the heartbeat of this Eagles team, of the Eagles fan base, and it's been really cool, especially kind of in tandem with the notoriety and fame that's come just within the past 2 years because of the podcast, because of the brother on brother Super Bowl, because of Taylor Swift and Travis and him, and now all the stuff with this Super Bowl just being the super big, Travis Kelce kind of pseudo Chiefs fan and just being drunk and funny and taking his shirt off. And he's just been such a character, but he's really been doing stuff like that his whole career in Philly, really been amplified this past 5 or so years since he's been gotten more notoriety as a player and as a person off the field. And he's just served as such a staple in the Eagles and NFL and Philadelphia community. I mean, going to Sea Isle and competing in the drinking, chugging versus some of the WIP guys and all the charity work he does with the Autism Foundation. And he's just so involved. He's so real. He's so genuinely who he is, which is a charismatic, entertaining, just enjoyable human being. He's got a gravitational pull to him. When he's talking, you want to listen. When he's around, you want to be there. You want to party with him, drink a beer with him, watch him play football, laugh at him, cry with him. He's phenomenal, and you can see the outpouring of support, and it's as well deserved and well warranted as it could be for any other player. And it goes to show, and it's funny because no other center has this outcrying love and support, but it goes to show that it doesn't really matter the position you play. It's the person you are. You could be the star quarterback or the speedy wide receiver, but if you're not this person who plays the game like he played it, giving 100% effort consistently year after year, being authentically yourself, then you're not going to get the love that you will if you're a Jason Kelce, a person that is just so naturally himself, charismatically who he wants to be and who he believes he is, that it just draws everyone else in. I really, really liked what he said about being in Philadelphia and being an Eagles fan. He really hit the nail on the head, and it's just the perfect message that any player that's coming to Philadelphia should hear. He said, Philadelphia, no one supports and brings up their own more than Philadelphia does. But if you try, if you give your all, they will treat you like a brother. And it's right. It's the textbook sort of blueprint when someone's starting a career in Philadelphia. They're going to boo you. And if you can handle that and accept that for what it is, for them saying, hey, we want you to be better because we put our blood, sweat, and tears, our life and soul are these teams, especially the Eagles being the top team in this top sports city. And he took that mantle head on and he embraced it. And he said, I'm going to be one of you. He brought up in his speech about how when he was drafted here in Philly, his agent said, this is going to be a good town for you. This is going to be right for you. And he was spot on. Jason Kelce, even though he's a Ohio, Cincinnati kid, he was born to play here in Philadelphia. He embraced everything this city, this fan base, this town, this region embodies just hard work, being yourself, grinding it out, not complaining. He did all of that. And him retiring, it as an Eagles fan, as someone who's watching, he's been in the league 13 years. He's been in the league since I was I'm like 12, 13 years old. It's sad to see him go, especially knowing he was at the prime of his career. He was still playing his best football. But as someone who doesn't really know him, but has now seen him and his family in lots of things on social media and online and on TV, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Kylie. I'm happy for his kids that he went out on the top of his game. He didn't get to see, oh my God, I don't have it like I used to. But B, he's still in as good mental and physical shape as he can be after 13 years of football. And he can go be with his kids. He can be with his family, enjoy his life outside of the everyday grind that is in the National Football League. And he's going to turn up everywhere you look. If he wants to be a broadcaster, which I believe he does, he's going to be a phenomenal broadcaster, whether it's color commentating for live games, a studio analyst, continuing with the podcast, having his own sort of show or a show analyst on one of these networks. Whoever wants to throw him a bag, throw him a check, and get him a contract, do it, because he's got that energy that pulls you right in, especially now that he's not going to be playing on a team and having the responsibilities of, toning it back because I'm still in season and whatever. He will be 100% himself and let it all rip. And he's going to be great like he is with everything else. On the flip side, if that man wants to be a coach, and I believe a part of him will based on how much he loves this game of football, I think he's going to be a phenomenal coach. He could be the next Jeff Stoutland, one of the best offensive line coaches of all time. Or I think he could be a coordinator, maybe even a head coach. He's that type of a leader of men type of person. It's whatever he wants to do. Clearly, he has shown that not by any luck or God-given ability, but because he's Jason Kelce, because he's Philly, because he's willing to work for it. Whatever he wants to do, he will do and succeed. And Jason, I just want to say, as thousands of other people are saying, thank you for all you've done for Philadelphia, for the Eagles, and for football. You're an exemplary, that's not a word. You're a fantastic man and someone to be admired and looked up to and modeled after. And thank you for all of your years of hard-fought, great football in Philly. And I just want to say, thank God the Eagles won in 2017 because no one deserves a ring more than you, Jason Kelce. Enjoy your retirement. What a man. What a career. Moving on. Another big signing or contract-esque news today for the Philadelphia Phillies. They announced also today that they were extending Zack Wheeler, giving him a 3-year, $126 million extension. And I love it. I think it's great. They were in talks all, winter and all spring training so far that, they were on good terms and they were going to get a deal done. They got it done today, extended him by 3 years. It's a lofty payment. I don't really care. I brought this up a couple times. It's not my money. It's an owner's money. It's billionaires' money. And so pay it, especially in baseball. There's no salary cap, so there's no reason to crunch the numbers and be like, oh, maybe it's a slight overpay, and well, it should be. Zack Wheeler is phenomenal. He's been fantastic, a 3-point-something ERA in the regular season. He's had one of the best postseason whips ever. Statistically, I think he's the best postseason pitcher ever. He's been lights out in the past 2 playoff runs. He's the ace of this club, or the co-ace with Aaron Nola. He's as consistent gets, and he's one of the best pitchers in the game. And if you let him get to free agency next year, he would have been the most sought-after free agent pitcher, or maybe even free agent on the market. So it was the right move and the proper move to get him in Philly for another 3 years while he's still in his prime, and to keep the Phillies contenders and with one of the strongest rotations in baseball. I think it's a phenomenal signing. I'm glad Zack Wheeler's here. He is going to keep this team from winning. And I know there's a lot of people that have been maybe upset with the Phillies' lack of splash additions this offseason, especially after the past 5 years of Harper and Turner and Castellanos and Wheeler at the time and whoever. They made themselves better because they got their 2 aces to stay. They could have gone somewhere else. They could have let them slip through their hands or not wanted to sign them. But they realized the best 2 pitchers on the market are ones that are already in red pinstripes, and let's just keep them here. So those moves made the Phillies better in a way of not letting them get worse. I know everyone in the offseason, no matter how good your team is, new is always exciting. You always want something new or someone new because you can say, oh, but we didn't have this person and now we do. So think of the possibilities. The truth is, you couldn't ask for better signings than Zack Wheeler and Aaron Nola, right? If any other team signed those two pitchers, they would immediately jump to contenders or be one of the strongest rotations in the game. So the Phillies keeping those two as their top two aces is a positive forward move for the Phillies, keeping them strong for next year and the years to come. So that's a great move. Happy birthday to Nick Castellanos, my good pal. It's his 32nd birthday today. Kind of fitting, I think, a little bit that his birthday happens to fall on the day that Jason Kelce retires and the whole Philadelphia region starts crying at 1 p.m. watching the news. It's just, it's who Nick Castellanos is. Jason Kelce's retiring, and there's a deep drive in left field by Castellanos. It will be his birthday. It seems spot on. So, but anyway, Nick, happy birthday. I'm a little late on the Dollar Dog Night stuff, but I do want to give my condolences. RIP Dollar Dog Night. I think that's a big mistake by the Phillies organization. I know they cited like the surveys and long lines and all that stuff. Here's my fix for you right now for Dollar Dog Night, Philadelphia Phillies. Have more of them, not less, or get rid of them. I feel like when I was growing up as a kid, there was a Dollar Dog Night like once a week or once every homestand. I could be making that up, just kid memory, but like the past couple of years, there's been 2 or 3 in a season, and it's made them more valuable, especially now that the team is a lot more popular and good. That people, they go crazy because it's like, oh, I'm in one of the $3 dog nights. Instead, make them more often. They'll kind of lose their allure a little bit, and so it won't be as wild each night. Obviously, they didn't do that. They got rid of them. They have the BOGO nights, $2.50 for 2 hot dogs. Not quite the same zing to it, but it was a good run. It was, how long has it been? It was been as long as I've been alive, almost, I think, 26 years, 27 years of Dollar Dog Nights for the Phillies. So sad to see him go. Hopefully they run it back maybe next year after they get their mind right. The Sixers, let's talk about the Sixers. They got a couple nice wins in a row, 2 wins in a row for your 76ers. We love to see that. And hey, they beat the Mavericks on national TV over the weekend. A nice team win. Maxey was good. Kelly Oubre was great off the bench, wearing his cowboy fit after the game, having lots of fun. And what did I say? I told you, good Tobias will be back. Don't hang on to this too much. He's not here to stay forever. I told you it comes in waves, but he was bad Tobias for a while. Now he's back up to good Tobias, and he's going to be good for a couple games, and then he's going to level out, and you'll forget. Well, he'll be good, and everyone will tell you, where's your Tobias Harris apology for him, and make you say that, oh, he's actually really good, and he's the 3rd star, and blah, 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 blah. And then he'll taper out and be fine, and those people will kind of go quiet, and then we'll get back to the bad stretch. But you can't be mad with him right now. If you're going to be mad when he's bad, you got to be happy and grateful and gracious when he's good. So Tobias, thank you for coming back. The fans appreciate it. We need you. It's crazy how much better this Embiid-less team is when Tobias is out there scoring 20 plus points a night. It makes everything easier for everyone else. It makes all the other pieces actually make sense and have less of a role to fill, or have a more succinct role to fill. Speaking of roles, Kyle Lowry, amazing. 2 starts, 2 wins. Such a just intelligent, experienced basketball mind, finding people, getting assists, creating smart plays, getting people open, drawing charges like he does. Really nice to have that veteran presence there. Same with Buddy Hield in terms of that shooting presence. I really like the way the pieces are coming together. If they can just keep gelling, keep finding ways to get some wins and finding the way they work best together, you throw the MVP back there, Joel Embiid, averaging 36 points a game, hopefully again. If he comes back in and this team has gotten lots of reps, without him, I think it'll be pretty scary if they can make it work and he's fully healthy. But enjoying a nice little Sixers win streak here. Real quick, just the Flyers, they lost in a shootout tonight, 2-1. Tough game. Their power play, lack of power play ability has been a little tough to watch, but I think it was a fun game. Sam Harrison was relatively good in the shootout. Obviously, just couldn't get it done at the end. But my main point for this team, or for this organization, is they hosted a Dollar Dog Night tonight just to rub it in the Phillies' faces. I don't know what that says when another team in your own city is kind of like poo-pooing your marketing decisions, but good on you, Flyers, for one-upping or showing up the Phillies marketing team and saying, we're gonna do our own dollar dog night because we respect the fans. I just love to see that. That's all I have on the other teams right now. The Flyers and Sixers will be at it later this week, but Jason Kelce really just he wrapped up the day. He wrapped up my mind. I think Colby, this retirement choice and his speech and just the way it pulled people and drew people today will be on my mind for a very long time. So I just want to give one more congratulations to Jason Kelce and thank you.